Hey, what is going on, everyone? So in this section, we're going to talk about the cold call waterfall strategy, and it's going to really dive deep and show you who exactly you should be calling when it comes to doing your cold calls, right? Should you be calling the CEO first? Should you be calling low level, high level? And in what order should you be calling all these different people so that you get the right person on the phone and really schedule those meetings and get those cold calls going? And so we're going to get all those questions answered in this lesson. Now let's go ahead and talk about the cold call waterfall strategy first, right? And as you can see here, we got a beautiful picture of a waterfall. Now, metaphorically speaking, the reason why I call this the waterfall strategy is because if you look at a waterfall, essentially it's basically a river with water, and the water is flowing down a cliff, right? And at the beginning, as the water falls off the cliff, you know, it's not that much energy, right? Because it just falls off a little bit. But because of gravity accelerating the water down, and because of the cliff is so high, as you go lower and lower and lower until you hit, these rocks down here, the waterfall or the water's energy is going to be a lot stronger over time, right? Because it's leveraged, because gravity is pushing it down. And by the time you get to the point where it's, down over here, you have a lot of energy, a lot of leverage, and you're starting from the top and you're going all the way down, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. The pressure gets stronger, and metaphorically speaking, we're going to use this concept to create pressure just like a waterfall so that you get people to actually pick up the phone, talk to you, or you get them to answer your voicemails using this waterfall technique. So now that we got this metaphor out the way, let's go ahead and show you exactly how this works, right? So the waterfall strategy, again, start from the top, work your way down to create leverage, right? So when it comes to cold calling, you want to start at the top. You want to start with the CEO, chief marketing officer, chief technology officer, depending on which department you want to sell into. And then you want to work your way down to the VPs, the directors, and so on. So if you kind of look at a typical structure of an organization, and typically in Western countries, this is how it's usually going to work. You got the CEO at the top, then you have the CXO, and X can stand for like technology officer, finance officer, marketing officers, right? Chief marketing officer. You have all the different chief executives over here. From there, you're going to have VPs under the CXOs, right? VP of marketing, VP of IT, whatever the case is. And then it's director of, department, and then manager. And then you have the individual contributors. And so for most organizations, this is how it typically works. They might have more layers or less layers depending on how large the organization is or how small it is. But typically, they're all going to follow this format. So like I said before, when we're leveraging the waterfall technique, we want to leverage the top, right? We want to start at the top, because when you are doing your cold calls, and let's say you want to talk to the CEO of a company, well, if you call the top first and that person picks up the phone, well, you don't even have to waste your time talking to anyone lower, because you're talking to directly the right decision maker, right? And if this person doesn't pick up, maybe the chief marketing officer will pick up the phone, and that's still also the right person. And you're going to find out whether or not they are interested and qualified to purchase your product and service. And that's why you want to start from the top and work your way down, because, once you start getting down here, less decision-making power. Once you start at the top, a lot of decision-making power. And so, like I said before, when the higher level decision makers don't pick up the phone, you just want to work your way down. And also, another strategy you can use on top of this is that when you can leverage the fact that you first reach out to a high level person when you leave a voicemail with lower level decision makers. So what I mean is that when you call the CEO, for example, and this person doesn't pick up the phone, and chances are they probably won't pick up the phone because they're busy, right? When you call, let's say, this chief marketing officer, when you leave your voicemails, and I'm going to have a whole different section on voicemails, but I'll give you a teaser now. You can say something like this. Hey, Chief Marketing Officer, I just got off the line at the CEO's office, and I thought it might make sense to talk to you. So if you get a chance, go ahead and give me a call back and then you get your phone number. So as you can see, even if you don't, directly talk to the CEO and you don't get this person on the phone, you can just leverage the fact that you left this person a voicemail, or you just called their office and then you called the next person and you just say like, hey, look, I just tried calling the CEO and I actually just thought it might make sense to talk to you. And then they're not really sure if you talked to the person or not. It's a little gray in some ways, but it does create leverage. It creates pressure, and you're not necessarily lying because you never said you talked to the CEO. You just said you got off their line, or you tried to give their office a call. So that's basically creating leverage in your voicemails, and we'll go in more detail about that. So in the cold call waterfall strategy, essentially you really only want to be calling these people, right? CEO, CXO, VP of X, director of X. And then after the director level, you do not really want to waste your time with the managers or individual contributors, because they do not have any decision-making power, right? Managers and individual contributors, they don't really go very far. They don't make the decisions on if they should buy a software or how they should spend a budget. They just kind of do what the director tells them. And at best, the individual contributors and managers might, pass your information a level up to the director or VP of whatever. But this rarely happens. It only happens if, let's say, maybe it's a small company and the individual contributor has a lot of pull and a lot of weight in the company and what they say really matters, then yeah, maybe they can do it. But if you're trying to break into a large company with 500 employees, chances are manager or individual contributor is not going to be the person in charge of choosing which software to use, right? So that's why I would focus your attention on these levels. But if you really cannot get in contact with these people, sure, try calling these guys, but chances are they will not be able to get you a meeting with a level up. And so with that said, the overall strategy is start from the top, work your way down, use leverage and the fact that you called up here, then put that in your voicemails. And that's how you essentially use the waterfall strategy. So that's it for this lesson, and I am going to see you in the next.